Imototo non le seguro lungo bobo. Imototo non le seguro rumbobo. 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 Imototori. Imototo enu. Imototo owo. Imototo ara. Imototo ile. Imototo onje. Imototo. Lola shegurarun bobo. Imototo. Hey guys. Yes, it's a Yoruba song. It's called Imototo. It has to do with cleaning up your house, cleaning up your vessel, and that's how you prevent diseases. That's how you prevent sickness, okay? By cleansing, cleaning, waking up. Okay, waking up and cleaning up your house, clean up your hair, clean up your teeth, clean up your aura field. Okay, the reason why I'm on here today, though, let's talk about it. Okay, we're here to talk about something that I had a dream about, and then I actually wrote down a couple of journal entries here in my little paper, my notebook. I'm not going to tell you guys the dream per se, but I'm just going to give you guys the certain messages that I got from the dream. Part of that was a confirmation that if you go check out Gogo and Kenyezi, I have downloaded a lot of her consciousness. She speaks to my spirit, my vessel. So it is one of those situations where when you download certain consciousness, you kind of get on the same wavelength, the same frequency, right? So if you found this video, you're on mine, okay? And I am on yours. So we are here to just share certain downloads and help you with your divine assignment, okay? Nothing more and nothing less. Okay. So what was the message? Okay. So one of the messages was that they are recruiting night and day. Night and day they were recruiting. Okay. Who is the they that we're talking about? Okay. So there are entities. There are those in the shadows, those you don't really see, right? That have come together in order to, I guess, siphon energy from the masses in order to have dominion over the masses. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that we unfortunately have been spoken for in spirit. Okay. Whether it be consciously or unconsciously, most of us unconsciously have been giving our power away to different entities outside of ourselves, whether it be your church, whether it be your, um, I guess, institutions or cults, organizations in which they want to be your godhead. I don't know. It's very strange for me, but these things exist in the world, okay? And yes, I have also unconsciously signed contracts, not knowing the level of power that I was given away, okay? For basic survival needs, okay? And this is what I'm coming here to say. Any contract that was created when you were, okay, when you were in an insecure place, meaning that it threatened your state of security, meaning that the way of getting food, shelter, basic needs, basic things that are granted upon you just by you existing on this earth, okay? Those things, when they put those things in jeopardy, any kind of contractual agreement that you make um, from that point of insecurity should be null and void, okay? Because you want to show up in at any table being secure with oneself. And when you take away someone's livelihood for food, water, shelter, and then say the only way you can get these things is if you contract with me, that's a fraudulent contract, okay? Along with any kind of deception that they may have put onto the contract that they're siphoning your energy that you may unconsciously agree to, okay? The fine print, okay? So with that being said, when you start operating in governments or governance, okay, these entities speak for you, which is a lot of power to give away to someone else, to an entity outside of yourself. It's a lot, okay? It is a lot. It's a lot of power. So let's be mindful about that. Okay, this channel, what I represent, is for you to have independence. Okay, for you to have everything coming to you from your own Godhead, from a secure place. Okay, knowing that everything within is now reflected without. Now, for you to be able to run in that frequency, you have to take a lot of accountability for your shadow. You have to take a lot of accountability for your light. Okay, they have to take a lot of accountability for just your reality. Okay, but I promise you that is where the freedom is. That is where the true connection to source God is, to be honest. Okay, so I don't promote anything that has to do with you coming out or allowing someone else to act as your Godhead. Okay. So you're not going to find that here. Okay. You're never going to find that on this channel where, like, yeah, just submit yourself completely and solely to any entity outside of yourself. No, if anyone is asking you to do that, they're probably serving an entity that is not of divine sovereignty. Okay. And that to me is a sin. To me, that's a sin. If you're trying to take someone else's will away, someone else's power away to be dominant over, to show dominance over, to become a slave to you, I don't support that in any fashion. Okay, in any fashion. Okay, so take that with what you will. Okay, so back to the dream, back to these entities, organizations. Yeah, they recruit in the astral realm. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember that girl, golly, I'll be one of the greatest. That girl. Okay. Now, if you listen to any artist's music, you're going to get what's in their subconscious mind, right? And this is what they tell you what it is. Okay, if you're paying attention, and that's why we have like these ciphers, people who get these downloads and they creatively tell you the story. They're picking that from somewhere. It's the ether. Okay, it's the unknown. It's in the realm in which we don't see. Okay, but if you're present, you can pay attention and you can listen. This is when you start really tapping into that consciousness. You start getting really aware that these people are giving you the blueprint of an experience that's in reality. Okay, and your certain resonance, your heart, right, the things that you actually enjoy will deliver you the truth in that form. Okay, so if you're being called to a certain artist and you're listening, they could be preventing you from a certain timeline, a certain experience that could be called into your reality if you don't change your frequency up, if you don't evolve. They could be warning you. Okay, this is why you follow no man. You follow no man. You don't just listen to what they're saying. You take heed. Okay, and you don't come and do not, again, there's some people, like I said, who really want to give that power away. Do not idol worship. And these stars or these artists that you like listening to, you take their art and you learn from it. Okay, yes, there's a part of when you're part of this kind of connection to art creation, right? It's going to speak to your soul on a soul level. Do not get lost in someone else's storyline. Okay, that's really what I'm saying. So you have to be able to call back your energy, call back your power. So if you're to the point where you are listening to someone's story and you're so empathetic that you are now crying real tears, or like getting so involved, you should know that you're part of some kind of manipulation. Okay, there's something going on, that you're giving too much power away. All right, to another man, another person in flesh. Okay, and that's very dangerous. Okay, so ways that you can protect yourself. This is why people pray before they go to sleep. I like to say a thing where I'm saying, I do not contract with any entities, okay, one willing to enslave or have any element of deception, period. Okay, and the reason why I brought up that girl who sings, I always wanted to be famous, da 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 da, da, just being honest. That song, that girl. Okay, so she talks about meeting with these grays in one of her songs, and she just wanted to be famous. Okay, so in spirit, right, she had this meeting and she signed a particular spiritual contract, which then brought her up. Okay, ascended her. Okay, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. And I'm not saying that you should be fearful or not try to seek I don't know, recognition. I think that's really what it is. And I think that's one of the pitfalls that my foundation have warned us about. We talk about doing it for the love, not doing it for the likes. Right? I I have no desire to be exalted over anyone else. All right. This is what I'm saying. There's these little ego nonsense traps that feed this kind of like, I want someone to be devoted to me. You become the very thing that's oppressing others. All right. So clean up your heart. It's very, very important to clean up your heart. All right. Please. All right. Or else you're going to, I mean, it's not really, or else you're going to just follow that timeline. That story has been played out so many times. All right, just look around. Look around, and when you really develop the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you can see some artists that you connected to back in the day, and then seeing their timeline play out, right? Um, you can see where the pitfalls were. Where was the descent? Okay, where was the part that was not authentic? You can see it. Okay, it just takes patience, and that's another thing that has been kind of bred in certain generations, is that we became very impatient when everything really does happen in divine time. And so if you're an impatient person, your that resonance brings forth a certain frequency in which these entities can easily make contractual agreements with you in spirit. They don't sleep. They don't have vessels in order for them to have to like rest. All right? They just have people who serve them. Okay? That serve them. And so they send different spirits to you, and you can, I don't know, some people have the eyes to see it. Okay? So just be aware as when you go to sleep, when you wake up, really why is certain people in your resonance, and for what reason are they there? Okay, your presence closes portals. Okay, so this is why there has been so much emphasis and like hypnosis, I would say, or influence. You gotta be careful with these things. People want to be I want to influence others to do things that I want them to do. I don't trust nobody like that. Okay, this is an internal conversation that has everything to do with the contents within your heart. Okay, because if you want people to be slaves to you, you will be a slave to someone else. You understand? That's how that works. Okay, so be careful. Okay, talk about pyramid schemes. All right, it's like the original pyramid scheme. Okay, um, so yes, listen to people's lyrics because they tell you who they are in the heart of the songs. You listen and you interpret, and you can only interpret from your own vibrational frequency as well, but then you make that's I trust your frequency more so than anybody else's. Okay, and you know when it's time to ascend. I'm not saying, because some people come into your life and their resonance helps fix whatever I guess broken codes that's keeping you trapped on a certain level. Okay, but that feels like healing. Okay, and then you also pray for truth in order to see when, if that changes or if it shifts. Okay, so you can't make anything external your God. That's the whole point. You can't make anything external your God. All right, so we're talking about divine protection, right? That's naturally given by you being your authentic and natural self. Okay, you are going to go through life lessons, and through that life lessons comes a great deal of healing, transformation, and setting off new frequency and vibrations. Okay, if you come from a family who are very high vibrational, very natural, very understood the importance of connecting with nature, the importance of connecting with the inner source, and didn't grow you up in a environment of externalization of God, um you're a bloodline that needs to be protected throughout every single civilization, and you will be. Okay, so that's a beautiful thing. But for those of us who did not, okay, and there's levels to this. I'm not saying that I did not. I'm just saying that there's different levels to this, right? In which you have to do for your own soul ascension. Okay, but at the whole point I'm trying to say is that we're all trying to get to the point of completion, wholeness, and having like a whole trinity within. Okay, masculine, feminine, inner child, feminine, masculine, inner child, whatever which way you want to say it, the holy trinity has to live within for you to able to see it without. So if you're too busy externalizing God, you will never be able to actually tap into that level. Okay, you'll just be showing up as a consciousness of whatever entity is raising their hand for you in the spirit. Okay, God talks to us all individually. Okay, you don't need to go to a priest, you don't have to go to a pastor to interpret God. All right, as long as you set some time alone without any distractions, including TV, cell phone, right? Every time you give that power away to an externalized entity, you weaken that connection. Okay, This is why there's such a big push on alcoholism. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier, but I didn't complete the sentence. Whoever who just asked that. Okay, alcoholism, right? Because it suppresses your senses. Okay, and now you're serving a spirit that's outside of you. All right, in order to, I guess the exchange is for you to feel some kind of giddiness or feel alive or to have fun when you can do that naturally. All right, it just requires patience. All right, and same thing for any kind of narcotics or drugs. You guys want the instantaneous fix, and so what happens is you lose the natural connectivity or chemicals in the brain to actually build that naturally, right? So as you age, you can naturally have these things. Okay, if you cannot go to a party and have fun without drinking, this is a sign for you right now to call that power back, because that was already something within you. Okay, you didn't have to deter or you didn't have to reduce your senses in order to get that kind of giddiness in play. What has happened though is that we've been built in or live in societies that have made you question your oneness with God, right? Through negative and reinforcement, whether it be through peers trying to make fun of you, weak sauce. Okay, that whole idea of dance like no one's looking, because even if they are looking, who gives a f, right? I'm cutting back on cursing, so no more Sailor Mount. Okay, so yes, okay. Remember, everything occurs in divine time. When you stay present, you close portals of the past and keep moving forward. All right, this is where these entities, they know you because they're just in the ether, and they can work through anybody at any given anybody that you can see outside of you, including myself. Do not, I said, download my consciousness to help you in whatever resonance, but do not idolize. Do not idolize anyone external from you. We're all going through our own spiritual ascension, our own understanding, and so that by itself is a compromised reflection. I'm just a fragmented version of you in your storyline. I'm a whole version of me in mine. Okay, supporting character in yours. Okay, so anything that you see in me, you have within yourself. If you're enjoying it, anything that you see me that you don't like, really sit with that and figure out why that is. Okay, if you see something you do like, sit down with it and figure out why that is, and where is the connection, where is the resonance. Okay. Yeah, what happens though is that we get, so let's say an artist makes a song or something that we really thoroughly enjoy. We listen to it, we get a feeling. Some of our cells actually wake up like, yes, this is in resonance. This person is putting into words, or I'm feeling something on in a genetic level that's speaking to me from these sounds and whatever. Okay? Now that happens. And then all of a sudden the artist starts infusing lyrics that actually entraps you. Okay, so they work with their way in on the genetic sides, and then they start putting lyrics and putting spells that entraps your subconsciousness. And when you're moving unconsciously, meaning you don't have awareness, or you're purposely giving away that awareness because you don't want to take accountability for yourself. Okay, through the foods you eat, things that you intake mentally, things that you neglect of yourself. All right, and it's not a put down. We have to talk the truth to power here. That's what this page is about. Okay, it's not about anything other than that. Okay, once you are unable to do that, or that's taken away from you, you then again feed this other entity, and that feeding becomes bigger and bigger every time you stay in this kind of I'm gonna say enslavement, right? Which makes you double down on the things that you want to escape with. Okay, and the longer you keep repeating that cycle, the more demanding it is. Okay, this is where you become depressed, suicidal. Okay, because there's an entity in the spirit that is speaking for you because you have not been empowered in order to have access to your own food, access to your own land, or your own shelter. That is what that is. Okay, this is why it's so heavily promoted to keep alcoholism and addiction frequency around, is because people have been doing this for so long that they have not learned to break the cycle. Okay, but as you go around the spiritual community, you're going to see that yes, people are waking up. On my frequency, on my timeline, I've been exposed to a lot of people waking up and then changing their course. They're taking back their ownership and then changing the course of their own vibration, and then drawing in a new reality, one in which themselves and their family and friends get to benefit from. Okay, that requires presence. All right. So another big theme of the whole dream and Gogo and Kenyezu, if you go back onto her page, is she I think it's entitled Diving Deep, or It's Time to Dive In. It was posted May 28th. Okay. So one big way to protect yourself is to have divine boundaries. Boundaries. Okay. So I don't know if I said this earlier in this video, but one way to protect yourself is when you go to sleep, right before you go to bed, you say, I do not make any contractual agreements with any entities. Okay. One based on deception, one based for enslavement against myself or any of my people. Okay. Now, if that's true to you, now some people, like that girl I was just telling you about who made that song, just want to be famous. All right. They don't give a crap about anything else. But then I think later on they realize the matters of deception. Okay. So, but that was also put into the program from since you were a kid, right? Want to be so famous, want to be exalted above others so much that you would sacrifice your brother. You will sacrifice your sister. You will sacrifice your family. All right. And I don't mean this in any kind of weird, fear-based way. What I'm saying is that you will not care for their benefit, or you will speak on their behalf to feed this entity who wants to have separation, as well as keep the slave system going on, right? An illusion of freedom going on, so that everyone feeds energy to nonsense that doesn't really matter. Okay. Shout out to Nana Kwame, Land, Food, and Skills. That's like the foundation for everything. All right. Everyone should have this. Everyone should have access to that. Any baby that's being born should be born into a family who has land, who has access to food, their own food, and don't have to rely on any kind of secondary means to attain it. And skills. And those skills literally would speak to what that purpose is of that child. Okay. Meaning that they already came with certain skill sets that it should be amplified here in the physical realm for the community, for the world. Okay, because we're all not built the same. All right. Staying present is very, very, very key. All right. So I'm against the world that's trying to distract you from your purpose. Okay. I want everyone to be walking with divine breath and divine trinity within themselves. Okay. Intellectual independence, sovereignty of self, these are just words, right? But what my whole point of making this video is having you realize that things happen in the astral first, in the ether first. Okay. The more that you don't clean up your mind, your thoughts, the more that you don't clean up your heart, right? Because that is really going to be the test. Okay. Does love live here? Does God live in your heart? Okay. Patience. Okay. All right. And have patience with yourself, because honestly, anybody in your vicinity that's reflecting something contrary will either can't stay there for long because you have a strong resonance, or if they are there, you really need to figure out where is the resonance within you. What thoughts have you been entertaining? Right? It's all about that accountability. As soon as you start giving that accountability to somebody else outside of yourself, like someone else died for my sins, someone else did this for me. All right, you start. That's part of the whole thing. Okay, of you giving away your power. Then in the shadow, which I saw in my dream, there's someone raising their hand and saying, "Yes, this person has given me their power. I have sovereignty over them." Okay. And seeing that they don't want to take accountability for their own actions in their life, I will take accountability for their life. And so now that person has jurisdiction to treat you any kind of way. That entity in which they're serving can treat you any kind of way because you have given that power away. You weren't moving with God. You started following man and not following God. Okay? These are stories. These are stories to help you gain your own internal guidance. All right. But I am very grateful for the family I've come from that we did not get lost in religious entrapment. I'm very grateful that we didn't get lost in that or any kind of idea of community where, like one person speaks for the many. No. Okay. I want everyone to have a voice and speak truth to power. All right. Because we can all see you. We all see you. The collective voice is not just one voice, it's many. Okay. And it's all many that's operating in truth, not deception. All right. So if it's not in you, nothing I'm saying will make any sense if you really are, if your vibration is to want to have people to be of service to you, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. Okay, it's a different kind of glow, it's a different kind of energy when you want sovereignty for everyone, because you understand that if everyone is has sovereignty of themselves, we create something bigger than just us. I have God for that, because God aligns everybody that needs to play their divine role in my own storyline. Okay, and I am that for someone else. I'm a supporting character. I literally be answering prayers. There's some people don't realize I'm gonna answer prayer until it's too late. Okay, or the transformation is completed or the cycle's over. All right, that's my whole point. Is that be an answer to someone else's prayer by a divine alignment, not attachment, or from a lack frequency. Okay, that's the only reason why other people I want everyone to serve me. It's this day, and I want this and that, and it's a lack frequency. All right? It's a lack frequency. Okay? All right. Anything else? Imototo. Uh cleaning up your heart, cleaning up your mind, cleaning up your home. Yep, prevents disease. It prevents all of this disgusting stuff. Okay? As always, if you're watching, I wish the best for you. I'm not doing a reading. This was just a download, but the dream was crazy, but I enjoyed it. Remember to, like I said, say something that's protecting you in the astral to ground you. You can say it at any point in the day, because remember, when you're even awake, you can daydream, right? Just because you're awake doesn't mean spirit isn't stopped working. It's a round the clock thing, right? You just now awake, taking care of your physical vessel. Um, so just be mindful of that. And then those artists that we have seen help set a strong foundation. Okay, but yet if they're in the public eye for so long, sometimes they may not have gotten spiritual protection. I'm not making excuses for them, because some of them have also made deals with those entities. Okay, I think Buju was one of them. Okay, when I see him, sometimes I see that, even though he has his earlier work was very good, strong, conscious foundation. And I honestly, I always play it because in that space and time, he was someone different. Okay, this is why you don't idolize people, because as they keep going and going and going, they have room to fall off. It's for you to have the eyes to see of when that actually happened. Okay, and to get off that bandwagon, because they have already switched over to serving something else. And this is not, again, a holier than thou. It's just point blank period. You have something to stand for, you stand for that for yourself, and then you want that same thing for others, but not to coerce them. It's a choice based off frequency and vibration and the contents of one's heart. Okay, and when something's no longer in vibration, you feel it. Sometimes I try to play certain songs that I used to really get down to, especially when I was like in party mode, and now it's just like it don't be speaking to my spirit no more, right? Like I can't even bust a wine to it. Why? Because I've shifted out of that frequency, right? It could only get me if I was trapping low, if I was already out. My spirit was not being able to express itself authentically, right? Or my spirit had to go to sleep, really. So that's what I used to, like, really, honestly, right? I engulf myself in another spirit, right? I poison this one to my body. My body goes into a mode of like, your cells are alive. Each one of them are cognizant, okay? And they let you know about dangers that are ahead, even with if you're sleeping, right? They're all awake, and they send signals. They say, get up now. There's a scorpion on the wall. Shout out to that girl who had this story. Get up now. There's a snake right over there. right? When you have this disconnection with your body, you turn off those senses, and then you end up in weird ass paradigms. All right, that's why we promote healthy vessel, healthy thinking, and da 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 da. All right, and don't be giving your power. I need everyone. I don't want a mate that is subservient to me. He's going to be in alignment. His whole soul purpose will be in alignment. He will be guided. His spirit guides, his ancestors, his higher self will be guided, because we are both on assignment. Okay, all this, he has to be the head nonsense. Okay, I wish I could show you my toe. Okay, if you see my middle toe, if you see my second toe, you'll know we don't do that here. Okay, if I have the eyes to see and ears to hear, and divinely protected from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet, why do I need you to come and be my head for what? For what? Why would you reduce to having, we had two heads, now we have one head? Let me stop it. But either way, right? It's all about Holy Trinity. I need partnerships with people, friends who have divine Trinity within themselves. I mean, they have balanced their divine masculine, divine feminine, and their inner child. They're all working in unison, and they show up like that because I know then God is present within you. All right, and I only do business with God. That's it. If you don't got that, we gonna be misaligned. It's gonna feel weird. You gonna feel weird. I'm gonna feel weird. We're gonna be looking at each other like, who the hell is you and why? All right, it's okay. We not on the same assignment this go around, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm saying all that to say is to guard your spirit, take back your power. You can say this: I call back my power from the north, west, east, and south. North, south, east, and west, from the seen and unseen. Okay, I redirect that energy to all things that feed my soul and my divine alignment for myself, and you can also include your people, your loved ones. Okay, because that's also part of this. This is not supposed to be some, there's moments of isolation, but we do this for the love, not for only ourselves, but our reflections of ourselves through others. Okay, true reflections. All right. um Remember to meet people where they're at. It's not about a judgment thing at all. It's not about judgment. It's about alignment. Alignment feels easy. It's real easy. Okay. um yeah, I'm just giving you the certain traps that built out there, because some people really do really be trying to actually give that power away, and it's unfortunate because God has created you so individualistically, right, with so much talents, that we want to see that shine. Okay, we don't want you bowing to any entity outside of yourself. Being humble before God, meaning that you don't know everything and you're constantly learning and growing, right? But humility does not mean self-deprecation. All right, it does not mean self-deprecation. It doesn't mean that you have to be below. You can be one with. All right. Well, I don't know the line really, but it's like not finding a robbery to be one with God, something like that. Corinthians, I think, 2:16, 2:6. I don't know. I didn't grow up in a church. I said that earlier, and I'm very grateful. Very grateful. One story time. So I remember one time I was walking in a park with Puma, right? And then this lady came out, beautiful woman. She came out of nowhere. That's how my life be like too, though. When people come to teach me certain lessons, God be really, because I spent a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time connecting with source, I'd be like, all right, boom, what's about to happen? You like, go to the park, go to the park. Then all of a sudden this woman named Joy comes, and she's like, oh, I love your dog. And then I was like, thanks. And she had a son, right? And she's walking with me, and she's personal person. I was like, oh, perfect. Perfect. I found a new friend, right? So she was telling me about how, just off the back, she just started talking to me about how the church wasn't showing up for her, and that she felt like, she lost her, her husband, she lost her home, and they did not care. They're actually asking her for money. It's almost as if it was like a cult. Like I said, it was almost like a gang thing. Like, why aren't you coming back into da da da, and when are you gonna pay your tithes, and da da da, right? And it was crazy. And in that same breath, I literally watched over to her. I was like, man, I'm sorry that happened to you, and blah blah blah, right? And in the same breath, I looked into her eyes and something came over her eyes. Like she was looking like a human being, and then all of a sudden, like a program came in. She's like, "Yeah, but would you be interested in joining the church?" Like, "Yeah, we do this and this." It was almost as if it was like a script playing in the subconscious, and I was just thinking, I was like, "Girl, you didn't just realize you just tell me about your church. You didn't realize you just tell me just now the church wasn't trying to help you. You don't you don't remember that?" Right? And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, I know, but look, God and da 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 da." I was like, "No, no, no. Just show me the." She actually gave me a verse in the Bible that actually helped, right? In my particular life. But the whole point is, don't be joining any of these cults. That's really the whole point of everything I'm saying. Okay, whether it be an astral, because they're gonna try to lure you in rooms. Same thing with some of these babalaos. Be very mindful of this. Okay, spirituality is an individual thing. God does not need to talk to you through people. I do tarot. I do readings. And I'm telling you straight up, he doesn't need to go say, "Shmika, go tell this person this." He could talk to you directly. He could. She could. She could talk to you directly. Okay? So, with that being said, my livelihood is not based off of this. Okay? It's just because we have been trained from since we were kids, we didn't grow up in environments where high vibration environments where everyone was empowered, right? Everyone was really distracted from that inner voice. So, as I've been blessed to slow down and to actually have that tap in on to strengthen that communication, I sometimes will just give you a reading, not even knowing that I'm giving you a reading. It has happened to me too from other people who in my life who they just end up giving me a reading, like that lady who had just random talked about, she gave me a Bible verse that actually helped me, but she also was on a program script, so she couldn't really tell, that whatever. Okay. This is why you don't follow me, you don't follow no messenger, you don't follow the messenger, you don't shoot the messenger, you don't have to do nothing to the messenger. The messenger just comes and they say something, and then they go about their business. Okay, and I have many messengers. Anybody can turn into a messenger at the blink of my eye. Okay, but they have to pass through the pillars. All right, they have to pass through certain pillars to really be really reading for me on my current level that I'm at right now. All right, and it's not forced. It's not a forced thing. All right. Um. So yeah. So even before, let's say you're trying to enlist me to give you a reading. Beforehand, I already know everything I'm gonna say. To be honest, it's at that point I will already know what I'm going to say because it's at that level. Okay, and I also have turned down readings because God was like, this person's coming with nonsense. This person might be coming with, there's also been readings where somebody may be coming for nonsense, but there's something that I need to say particularly for the past the nonsense, for that the inner child person, for their spirit to hear. Okay, so being masked with nonsense first. And so I know some of you are watching this like, "Oh, she's talking about me." Yes, we did know. We did know. All right, but you need to hear a dose of truth still. Okay, divinely protected from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. Okay, so that's just how it is. All right. Um. Yep. So it's practice astral spiritual boundaries. All right. And you can all start that with the contents of your heart and you speak in life to power. If you know that you're trying to get rid of addiction or anything like that, remember God is within. All right. So if you make God a liar within, it's going to be reflected without. You're not going to have faith outside of you. Okay. You're going to be, if you're being fraudulent to yourself, if you're lying to yourself, you also see a life that you're creating of deception and lies. Okay, that's inevitable. As within, so without. It doesn't like what you can't. You can't. There's no work around that. Okay, this is why we seek truth in all things. Okay, and we transcend accordingly. There was something I wanted to say. Deception, as within, so without. Yep, actually wanting to take accountability for your life because that is the turning point, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, that all of that gets transmuted once you actually take accountability and not try to outsource that power. Okay? You're patient, you are present. You are patient, you are present, and then you move through life accordingly. All right? You don't need to confess your sins to anybody outside of yourself, because that's not how it works. It's a soul thing. When you go through your dark nights of the soul, it's your only you. Okay? And that because you judge yourself, your body judges yourself. Everything that you put into your body, oh, that's what it was, judges you on the low, because each one of your cells are alive, like I just told you. And so that's where the judgment's coming, not from me. I can probably hear it, you know. One of these girls that I met down here, she literally told me she there's a smell to people who are dehydrated. One day she gave me a hug. She said I don't stink, thank God. But she said you smell dehydrated, which I was. Okay, that was her sense could pick up on my cells cry for help, because we are plants. I'm a plant. Okay, I'm a sentient, walking, talking, growing plant. But what I'm saying is that a complex plant, that is, that she could smell it. My cells were crying out to her, another plant being, and was like, hey, she need water. Okay, so where I was ignoring myself, she was able to check me as someone external from me. Okay, so that's my whole point, is that people who have high intuition, they can hear your cells scream out, hey. That's how we be knowing stuff. Okay, because where you're neglecting yourself, we're still going to see it on you, we're still going to hear it on you, it's going to be very apparent. Okay, in spirit, in astral, in physical, because again, that's just a mirror. It's a mirror. Okay, where you're deceiving yourself. Some people, when you're drunk, so now a spirit's inhabiting your body, right? And then your inner child's coming out, and your inner child's like, I really want to stop doing this. I want to stop having, I don't want to feel this bad anymore. My body is literally dying every time I do this line of coke. I'm just saying something to replace, all right, or take a shot. I don't want to do this anymore. So even in your drunken state, you're hoping that your subconsciousness is like, stop doing this, but somehow you keep doing it. That's the addiction frequency. Okay, I'm actually going to school right now to actually learn about how to treat that. But my whole point is that in spirit, right? If you deceive yourself, all right, and in order to, I guess, have nostalgia, and I think a lot of people hold on to things in the past. They don't want to mature past a certain level. So if you think that the only way you can have fun is by getting um really drunk or doing drugs, and that's the only way that you can feel alive, all right, because you're impatient with the progression of life, okay, or that bores you, all right, because you haven't found the joy within the present. All right, that becomes problematic. Okay, because if you don't trust yourself, you can never trust anything outside of yourself. Okay, and you're also going to be giving away a lot of power. Okay, now I might be saying all this, and I just heard someone say, I don't care about giving away my power, it's fine, I'm content with just being able to be here in the physical, and if I have to give energy toward things I don't, that's speaking for me, and then I have to deal with the backlash or the karmic debt of that entity as well, then I'm okay with it, as long as I have a roof over my head, food on the table, and clothes on my back. I heard that. I heard it. And that is fine. Like I said, in my place, I want people to want more than just survival things. I want you to live a very fulfilling life. I want to live a very fulfilling life. That's why I would want it on to you. Okay? So yes, those things are pleasant and really nice. I love a good security, root chakra stuff. I really love it. But I'm just saying we don't have to compromise our fulfillment to attain it. And any contract that was created either now, in the past, or in the future that has to compromise our security in order for us to live fully or be fulfilled on a soul level, then that's not the contract given from God. That's all I'm saying. God will not want you to have to choose between your security and then living a fulfilling life. These two things go hand in hand. This is why when you get with certain partners, you know that you guys start ascending, right? It's because you guys are both in alignment, okay, with soul progression. All right, it's more than just the physical. It's happening in spirit first. This is why it's very important to clean up your spirit. I've been talking long. I gotta go, but it's very important for you to clean up your spirit, clean up your heart, clean up the way you think, just clean it up, so you can get to a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of being, right? More than just surviving. Okay, because that also brings a depressive life. Because as human beings, I don't think we're supposed to stay in that state. Okay, It causes anxiety when it gets questioned, and then your roots like, whoa, we're not secure, all right? And I want everyone to have certain security and sovereignty over their life this way that they can just move different, okay? And we can actually beat depression, beat these lower level energies, all right? And actually exercise the power of God. All right, I think that's enough. Bye, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Hit me up if you guys want a reading. If you want a reading, and you actually are serious about this work, yes, remember divine protection. Say something. If it's your prayers, pray for divine protection as you move through the astral, because now is the time people are doing this thing. Okay, you're gonna be seeing like, oh, things getting crazy at work. There's gonna be a lot of drama that's trying to, put you into a state of anxiety. Then to see how you react and see if they can still have control over you. Those entities are there, okay? And there's some people who, like I said, sold your energy for them to have dominion over you. Okay, it does happen. It does happen, especially if you go there. Let's say some of you guys go to like these babalawos and you want to have, you're praying for some girl, right? Or some boy. You want to do a love spell on them. And so they go and they try to entice these lower level energies to enslave another person or entrap someone else's free will in order for you to get some satisfaction. Okay? That's disgusting to me. That's what our whole point is. And the same thing when you listen to Neural Knowledge as well. I promote his channel because he has some really good stuff. You got to be able to take the nuggets and leave the bullshit, right? Because he also says that thing on his page too, where he was just like, yeah, if you're a guy that you want that girl to talk to you, follow these things, and it could be just the clickbait stuff or whatever same things he claims that he does not do. But the whole point is spiritual law. If you're trying to take someone's free will away, and once that person becomes conscious, I hope everybody wakes up, all right? That contract is now null and void. When someone gains consciousness, you try to impede on someone else's free will based off manipulation tactics. Okay? Same thing as if when people learn how to hypnotize others, gain access to their subconsciousness, and then get them to do their bidding because maybe their psyche wasn't strong yet. Okay, some people, we do have built-in psychics, but I have also fell prey to this. Okay, because I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be free, but really in that freedom, which I didn't think I already had, I was enslaving myself to someone else's will, and I take accountability for it. But these things actually do still exist, right? Why do you think that there's people who can be pimps and people who could be HOEs, right? It's because they're in their subconsciousness, okay? And they use different drugs to implant seeds there, all right? This is a known thing in the world, all right? So guard your psyche, keep a strong steel trap mind, a strong meditation within yourself, okay? So when nonsense comes to your doorstep, all right, or your fields, because they ain't gonna be able to even get to the door. Actually, let me not say it out loud, but I guess that was fitting. God is funny. All right, when nonsense comes to your doorstep, it will be redirected divinely. All right, so protect your spirit. I know a lot of people sometimes they have dreams, they don't know if you have control. You do have control, you just don't know it yet, right? But the consciousness of your heart is going to come through the things that you eat, which cells are on, what cells are off. It all plays a factor in whether or not you have a defense. So be right before you go to bed, say something like that. I wish for divine protection from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. Guardian, higher self acts as a guardian to only permit benevolent energies to interact with my energy and aura field across all space and time, and you'll be able to see it. You're going to have dreams where the ones that don't mean you well, the benevolent ones, are gonna be like, get her out of here, she don't belong here with us, all right? And you be grateful. You be like, oh, okay, well, this is weird, but grateful, 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 grateful. Okay, remember to stay present.